Craig, for your invitation. It's my pleasure to be here, and thank you guys for attending this webinar. Okay, so today we're going to talk about CSP Domain 8 software development security. I've prepared a lot of slides, but because of the limited time, so we will move on very quickly and to guide you through the core concepts and major topics. Okay, before we get started, let me introduce myself briefly. I've been working in the IT industry for 26 years. And my friends and I started a company called Dynamic 11 years ago, delivering CRM solutions to customers, including implementing call centers based on CDR platforms from Avaya and local PBX manufacturers, and implementing and developing software solutions. Okay, so software engineering and project management are on my expertise stack. Okay, my goal of software development is to deliver quality software. And quality software, from my perspective, shall deliver functionality and quality. So we define quality as a set of attributes called UPassMe. And security is one of them. Okay, so that's why I went for security certifications to provide assurance to our customers. Okay, so this is the list of my certificates. Okay, so let's get started with our today's agenda. Firstly, we have to define the context and scope of software development, and then we can move on to enforcing security across the software development lifecycle in terms of the software architecture and its environment. Okay, and lastly, we will talk about software acquisition. Okay. So in my CSP courses, software is just part of engineering. So do network and data centers. Okay, so and domain 1, security and risk management, is the foundation of CSP. Domain 2, 5, 6, and domain 7 are management domains, while domain 3, 4, and 8 are technical domains or engineering domains. As you can see on the slide, software is just one component of the system, so they have different scope, different life cycle. Okay, this screenshot comes from the CSP exam online, domain 8, software development security. So there are only 5 topics there. 8.1 is about considering security requirements across the software development lifecycle. Okay. Then 8.2 is about identifying and applying security controls to address those security requirements in terms of the software architecture and software environment. Development environment is just part of the software environment. Okay. And 8.3 is about the assessment of software security, and 8.4 is about software acquisition, and lastly the 8.5 is the hard coding things. That's made yeah. So many people feel quite challenging about coding. Okay, however, it's a small part of domain 8. Okay, so what's the difference between software and the system? As you can see on the slide, an information system or a system comprises many components. And I proposed the PICO model in my book, The Effective CSP, Security and Risk Management. It's a metaphor, the PICO is a metaphor of an information system which comprises 8 components. This definition is aligned with the definition of ISO 15288. Okay, and software is just one of the system's components. Okay, so the scope of software is smaller than the one of the information system. Okay, so they have different scope, different life cycle. So so it's common for people to say SDLC. So are you referring to software development lifecycle or system development lifecycle? Specifically, they are different things. And what's software development? Okay, development implies the whole life cycle. It's not refers to only the phase or stage of development. So when we're talking about software development life cycle, the development implies the whole life cycle, including operations, maintenance, disposal, etc. Okay. Secondly, development means not only building software, but also acquiring software. We may outsource the whole project, this whole software project, or part of the project to external partners or vendors. Okay, it's a complicated procurement process, or we just buy proprietary software package or cards. Okay, Prav has recorded a video introducing cards, so we won't dive into the details of cards. And we may acquire from within the organization, say different departments, okay? And it's common for developers to import or employ open source resources, okay? So those are example sources of software acquisition, and they are also the sources of risk. Okay, so development implies the whole life cycle, not only the phase of development. And development means not only building software, but also acquiring software. Okay, so let's move on to enforcing security across the life cycle. Okay, we are not enforcing security in the phase of development or in the phase of design. Okay, we're enforcing security across the whole life cycle. Okay, and we have to apply those security controls in terms of software architecture and its environment. So I called it enforcing security anytime, everywhere. Okay, let me repeat this important slide again. Software is just one component of a system. They have different scope and different life cycle.
Vince, I want to hijack your session here. Just need to understand how domain 8 and domain 3 is basically, equal, or how is it something correlations are there between the domain 8 and domain 3? Because in domain 8, so domain 3, we are talking about system engineering lifecycle, right, Vince?
Yeah.
And in domain 8, we have a software development lifecycle. So what is the relation? Do we have any kind of a relation between this system engineering lifecycle and software development lifecycle? Because somehow SELC and SDLC phases are approximately same. So do you have any comments to discuss on this? Because that is one of the question which is raised by one of the participants when I did the survey. Thank you.
Okay. What's the, okay. Let me continue our presentation and answer the questions in the end. Okay.
Sure,
And
Vince.
I
Thank
see,
you.
okay, thank you. Okay, so software development life cycle. Okay, life cycle is a collection of predefined phases and processes. Okay, and different software development approaches may propose different life cycle models. Okay, so they may use different terms or terminology, but in essence, they the concepts are similar, are the same. Okay, so we have system SDLC and software SDLC. I mean system development lifecycle and software development lifecycle. Let me repeat that again. System development lifecycle and software development lifecycle. And the diagram at the left-hand side is proposed by NIST. It's a prescriptive model. You cannot change any term in that model. It begins with the initiation phase and ends with disposal phase. So those terminologies are fixed. If you communicate with your colleagues or friends or other security professionals, you just told them development acquisition phase. Everybody knows what are you talking about, okay? However, in the world of software development, there's no prescriptive software development lifecycle. So the diagram at the right-hand side is a generic software development lifecycle. You may have came across a variety of software development lifecycle use different names, different terminologies, and that may have confused you for a long time. But you don't have to memorize the phases because it's a generic reference model. Okay, so this model, I propose this model to help you to understand how to develop a software and how to consider security requirements across the process, the life cycle. Okay. Okay, as you can see on the slide, this is the NIST SDLC. SDLC is about the information system, and the risk, the well-known risk management framework (RMF) is applied at the system level as well. So the table lists all the SDLC phases and major security activities. And if you don't know how to implement those major security activities at the system level, you can refer to the NIST RMF. Okay. However, let me repeat that again. This slide is talking about the system, the PCAP, all the 8 components of the system. It's not talking about software only. So it's about the system. And the NIST SDLC is obsolete and superseded by ISO 15288. If you refer to NIST SPA 161, Volume 1, it will be referred to this new model, ISO 15288. This standard applies both to systems and software, and because the term development can be confusing or misleading, So nowadays we're talking, we just say system life cycle. We don't use system development life cycle. Okay, so it's much easier and won't be confusing. System life cycle. Okay, so ISO 15288 propose many processes and propose a reference life cycle and which comprise a couple of phases, and it groups those processes into process groups, say agreement processes, organizational project enabling processes, etc. Okay. Okay. A software vendor has many capabilities to develop software and to deliver their software and provide services. Okay, so how good a software vendor is at doing those processes or things, typically we will use the so-called capability maturity model to measure the vendor's capabilities. In early days, we developed different capability maturity models to evaluate a vendor, and however, it's cumbersome and too much overhead to evaluate each capability using different models. Okay, so nowadays those models are integrated into one. That's CMMI. So those models are integrated. So it's common for people to be confused by the CMMI terminologies. Software CMM or CMM for software is proposed in 1993. It's a legacy model. Level 2, it uses repeatable. However, nowadays CMMI use managed. So in your study guide, CSP study guide, it may refer you to the old model, and it's common for readers to be confused by the legacy model and the latest model. Okay, so let's get started to talk about enforcing security across the software development lifecycle. The first phase is planning. Software development is typically conducted in the form of projects because we won't develop software forever without an ending date. So a project has a start date and end date, and it produces or generates results. So a project has to be formally authorized and initiated by a project charter. After that, we can start to develop our project management plan, and change management plan is one of the most important plans when we are developing project management plan. Okay, and it's crucial for us in a software development project to determine the development methodology or approach, and in other words, we will decide which SDLC we will follow. So you have to understand what is an iteration and what is increment. And nowadays, Agile is getting popular, and it's all about it's all about people, collaboration between people, about working software, and about managing risk. Okay, so we have to make a decision to choose an appropriate development approach. Okay, and another crucial topic is team building. We have to select team members and to build the team. Since 1995, the US DoD started to conduct introduce this concept, integrated product team. They include all the stakeholders to work together. Okay, so it affects the practice of agile. Okay, and we have to collaborate the communication between teams. So DevOps and DevSecOps are popular, implemented to facilitate the communication between teams and stakeholders. Okay, so I won't dive into waterfall or spiral models. I just introduced the popular agile approaches. In fact, agile is an umbrella term. Agile proposes basic values. If a development approach can align with the values of agile, they can be they are agile approaches. Okay, so this is the Agile Manifesto, which proposes four values. Individuals and interaction is about people, and working software is about software, and customer collaboration is about people as well, and responding to change is about managing risk. It's highly accepted in the agile world to fail early and fail fast. Okay, so agile is about people collaboration. It's about working software. It's about managing risk. So if an approach can be aligned with those values, it is agile approach. It is an agile approach. Okay. So nowadays, people are always talking about Scrum. Scrum is just one of the agile approaches. Okay, this is a summary of IPT, Integrated Product Team. Okay, so it is introduced in 1995 US DoD, and it's a multidisciplinary group, and okay, all stakeholders. Okay, so nowadays agile teams has this feature of IPT. Okay, so DevOps or DevSecOps are popular topics. Okay, it's about team collaboration. Traditionally, DevOps involves only three teams: the development team, QA team, and IT operations team. But you find nowhere the security team. So DevSecOps involves security team, the security team. Okay, so automation, you may come across some jargon, say continuous integration, continuous delivery, deployment monitoring, and authorization, CD. Okay, so those processes can be automated by DevOps or DevSecOps. And continuous authorization is a hot topic in DevSecOps that can meet the requirement of RMF for continuous authorization. Okay, the next phase is about analysis. Analysis is all about requirement. It's about requirement elicitation, collection, analysis, specification, and validation. And we have to manage the changes to the requirement baseline and trace their relationship. Okay, so analysis in other model may use the term requirement or something, but it doesn't matter, only if you understand what we're communicating. So it's about analyzing requirements and managing requirements. Okay, there are many types of requirements. Say business requirements, stakeholders, solution, functional, non-functional. This taxonomy is proposed by the PMI-PDA or the IIDA-CDAP. You don't have to know that in the CISP exam, but it's good to know. The design phase. Analysis phase is defining the problem domain. However, design phase is to propose the solution to solve the problem we have analyzed and defined. Okay, so a design is a solution to solve a problem or address requirements. Design phase. Okay, okay, so we're proposing solutions, so we have to follow some design principles to develop a solution or solutions. And in the software world, the most important or crucial work is the architectural design. It's almost the first design work. And after that, we can conduct detailed designs. Okay.
Vince, you went on mute. Just give me a second. Vince, you can unmute. You went on mute actually.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so in addition to design principles, we have to know some common architecture, say the three-tier architecture, service-oriented architecture, the RESTful-based API, microservices, and serverless computing. However, microservices and serverless is listed in the new CISP exam outline. It's testable in the coming year, in the new CISP exam outline. So if you're sitting for the exam, for the old exam outline, you don't have to worry about microservices or serverless computing. Okay, so the output of design is your solution or your design. So we have to review your design, and threat modeling is one of the review work. Okay. Okay, this is the well-known layered or tiered architecture. On the left-hand side, it's a layered architecture. Their architecture is a logical separation. However, tiered architecture is a physical isolation. One for layered for logical and tiered for physical isolation. This is a real example we conducted for our customers. Okay. Enforcing, we have to enforce security across the life cycle and in terms of the software architecture. For example, when we are designing solutions at the, say, data access layer, okay, so we have to consider security in terms of each layer. So it's a framework for you to implement security controls. So you have to know each layer. So here, for example, is the data access layer. So you have to design, it's common for developers or the designers to design databases. So you have to know the database types, and relational database is the most popular one. So you have to understand the common constructs, how to normalize those tables, and how to operate a management system, RDBMS, and you have to know SQLang and programming interfaces, say ODBC. Okay. So the basic constructs, what is a table like? They have records, tuples, attributes, fields, and degrees, cardinality, relation, etc. There are a lot of jargon or terminology you have to learn. And the database integrity. Okay, so there are entity integrity, semantic integrity, and referential integrity. So how to enforce database level integrity? Okay, you have to know the protection mechanisms. Okay, after that, you have a design and you have to do threat modeling. This diagram is an excerpt from the CSSOP CDK, and I believe it's a Microsoft approach. So the first step is to diagram your application architecture, and based on this architecture, you identify threats. And one of the most common approach is to use a categorized threat list. For example, OWASP top 10. Okay. And the third step is to identify, prioritize, and implement controls. And finally, you have to verify and validate, and to calculate your residual risk. Okay, OWASP top 10. That can be used as a checklist in your process of threat modeling. Okay, development phase. Development phase is about implementing your design, implementing your decision. In software developing, we are programming or coding. So we have to follow certain secure coding practices. We have to determine which programming language is appropriate in our project, and developer has to be acquainted with object-oriented programming, and development environment, the basic IDE, integrated development environment, and the core repository. The SolarWinds breach is resulted from the backdoor, malicious backdoor is implanted into the build process. It's related to the code repository. Okay, and we have to know the common or well-known runtime environment. Sandboxing is the most common strategy used today, and say containerization or virtual machines. Say Docker is an implementation of containerization. Okay, so there are many software environments, say the development environment, the testing environment, the production environment, and there are a staging environment exists in between the testing and production environment, and the software runtime environment. So we have to enforce software security across the life cycle in terms of the software architecture and its environment. You have to consider security requirements and implement controls in terms of those environments and architecture. Okay, this is a typical software runtime environment. Okay, we have virtual machine, hypervisor, Docker, runtime framework, and browser is also a sandbox as well. Okay. Okay, the testing phase. We have analyzed our requirement to define the problem, and in the design phase, we have proposed a solution and finished some design review and complete the development work, writing some codes, and it's time for us to test our software. And you have to adopt some software strategies or models, and the V model is a good one for you to use as the reference testing model. And there are some testing 101, testing approaches. You have to know what is white box testing, black box, static, dynamic, active, passive, and manual automated testing, okay? And you have to know specific testing techniques, and you have to consider the issue of privacy related to test data. Okay, so testing approaches, specific testing techniques, say unit testing, regression testing, fuzzing testing, misuse case testing, a lot of them. Okay, finally, after testing our software, it can be put into production and operate to create value persistently, and we have to maintain it to function normally. Okay, the last phase is maintenance. Okay, so when we finish testing, we have to deliver our software to customers. So you have to determine the approach to deliver the software. Is it a CD or USB or downloaded from the internet? And there are installation and activation concerns. And when it comes to operations, typically we'll conduct training and education. There are configuration management problems and vulnerability management, patch management, and malicious software. Okay. Okay. So the most important of all is change management. We cannot change anything at our discretion. So we have to submit change request, and we only can implement changes after the request is approved. Okay. Vulnerability and patch management is related to domain 6 security assessment and testing. So you have to know what is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, and common terminologies say CWE, CVE, and what's the difference between CWE and CVE, CVSS, SCAP, NVD, etc. Okay, finally, acquiring software. We have mentioned software acquisition. Many people regard development as building software only. However, let me repeat that again. Acquisition covers different sources of requiring software. Outsourcing, procurement, or acquire within the organization, or using the open source resources. There are a variety of sources of acquiring software, and there are sources of risk. So we have to manage them well. So today I won't dive into much in software acquisition, but just be aware of there are many sources of software acquisition, and development means a lot, far from building software only. Okay, so today the key takeaways for today is enforcing software development security anytime. It's about consider and address security across the SDLC, and everywhere is about the architecture, the software architecture, and its environment. Okay, and don't forget development entails acquisition. There are a variety of sources of software acquisition. Okay, this is my blog. I blog every day, so welcome to visit my blog. And I have a Facebook group, Effective CISP, and I invite you to join my Facebook group. And this is my publication, my books. They are available on Amazon. So it's about, yes?
Sorry for hijacking this session. Just need to understand the book that you are referring right now, practice questions. So how many practice questions we have in this particular book?
Okay. It's a compilation. Okay, 365. Why? Because one question per day. So I compile the question for the previous year. So you don't have to buy this book.
No. Total, how many questions we have in this particular book? Number of questions.
Yeah, the practice question, 365 questions.
Oh, it's like a equals to year, equals to
A year. Yes, exactly. So
is it possible? Is it possible for you to show some glimpse of this book so people get the visibility about that? Because
okay.
you know we can. It would be great if you're okay with that. I believe everyone okay with that, because this is one of the important book which people used to follow while preparing for the exam. So it is a good opportunity for us.
You see my screen?
Yeah.
You don't have to buy my book, my question book. Yeah, all of them are available on my blog. Yeah.
Okay.
Question of the day. So they are available for free. However, I don't categorize them on my blog. The benefit to buy my book is that I have categorized those questions into topics.
So Vince, just need to understand, if the person get a good number of marks, he able to answer 80 to 90% of your questions. What do you think? Is it he ready for the exam?
Frankly, I have confidence that if you can score around higher than 80% of my questions, you have good opportunities to pass the exam.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, but most of CISP aspirants feel my question is too hard or too difficult.
So Vince, there is one question has been raised from Mr. Shoaib, that any plan for planning to launch the other domains book, like the way you have introduced your security and risk management. Do you have any plan to launch other domains?
Yes, I am working on my second book.
Wow.
It's about security, architecture, and engineering.
That's commendable.
My first book, it's about management, and my second book is about engineering.
That's great. So by when we can expect this book?
I hope it can be published before May 1st, 2021.
That's
I
so
hope so.
make so I believe that the version will be have a new course syllabus updations also, right? Because in May 2021 the IC Square is basically going to launch the new version. Like
Yeah.
it's they're going to revamp the version of CSSP. I'm sure it's only 5%. So I'm expecting. So can we expect the new editions, new versions of the syllabus in that same book?
The new book, what? Pardon? I will align with the new exam outline.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So
No
there's a one question from Shane. The will book one, the security risk management whence your book is there, right? So that book one is only help with domain one, or it can be used for other domains.
I frankly, it covers other domains. Say I briefly introduce the engineering concepts and the basic identification, authentication, authorization, and accounting, the access control things. But I don't dive into details, but just give the whole picture of the CSP. And
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't address network and software. Yeah,
Okay.
but core concepts of CSP. Yeah.
That's great. So there is a one small suggestion to all the aspirants who are preparing for this domain 8 SDLC. As Vance also covered that, okay, apart from Cybex or CBK based SDLC is there, but you can also refer NIST document for the SDLC. Especially you should know what kind of activities we are doing in each and every phase. So that is also very important testable than database attack. Especially you must have a good understanding of polymorphism, polyinstantiation. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Vance. When
Yes,
it comes
yes,
to CSS.
yes. Frankly, as now we have 74 slides, and
Mm-hmm.
that's terrible. So I removed around
Mm-hmm.
20 slides.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In fact, in my first version, I put those security issues
Mm-hmm.
in this presentation.
But COT section is very important because I have seen a couple of folks who really face some questions on COTs. So commercial off the shelf software is also important section, polymorphism, polyinstantiation, and
Yeah,
you have this aggregation inference attack, cross-site scripting, cross-site forgery, SQL injection,
yeah.
the countermeasures. So we should need a good understanding of that particular section when we're preparing for domain 8, right?
Sure. They are crucial topics. Yeah.
So any last minute advice Vance you would like to give to everyone? And it was really amazing session.
Okay.
There was an
Yeah.
eye opening for me, to be frank. There are some new
Frank,
concept I got to know, Mr. Vance. And I'm
mhm,
sure that you have used a CSSLP concept also, because I can see those contents from CSSLP. But I know it's
mhm.
been late there in your side. And thanks for, part of this particular session. And I'm sure, I believe there's a time. What is the time there right now?
It's 11:20 p.m. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'm sorry for
No
this
problem.
late session, Mr. Vance. And so you have any last key points which is you would like to share with the participants for preparing for CSSP? Any key takeaway? Overs to you.
Okay. Just keep going, and you can make it.
Thank you.
Never
Thank you.
give
Any
up.
questions, participants? Any questions you have for Mr. Vance? Can we expect Mr. Vance this kind of a sessions later also in your group? There's also one question has been raised. Are you planning for any online session like that? Mr. Vance,
Pardon?
are you planning for any online sessions like that in future
Uh,
for your
uh,
students?
yeah, but it takes time. It won't
Mhm.
happen in the near future. Maybe after 1
Mhm.
or 2 years. So nowadays,
Mhm.
I just uh, sh-
No,
uh,
those who are basically part of your group, like, you have a 4,000 members, right?
yeah.
Congratulations for the recent achievement. So
Thank you.
any kind of like the way Mr. Adam does the online boot camp, 2 hours, 4 hours. So can we expect from Mr. Vince
Yeah,
this
yeah.
kind of session?
Yeah, actually, I have provided some free sessions for my readers, but because
Okay.
of my tight schedule, I just conducted around 4 or 6 sessions and
Mm-hmm.
I suspended. But I'm planning to resume those sessions. It's free for my readers, and I hope that I can do that very soon.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vince, for this session, and thanks everyone for joining this session. We will have more session like that. We are planning for some more new leaders in CISSP who will be part of this Tech Talk, and make sure you will have a great time with CISSP, those who are preparing for this, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance from Vince and Prab. Thank you, Mr. Vince. Thank you for your amazing
Thank you,
session that you
Prad.
have given.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
we're looking
Thank you,
forward for
Prad.
this kind of a session in future also. And again, from the bottom of my heart, thanks. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Prad. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Take care.